Rockford's home for Classic Rock 96.7 The Eagle. Good morning. I'm Double T, and the BMO Harris Bank Center / Rockford Metro Center is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, and a big part of that history has been the Rockford IceHogs. So, special guest joining me, he was the very first general manager of the team, Kevin Cummings. Kevin, how you doing?
Double T, I'm doing all right. Yourself?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you. So how do you end up in Rockford, Illinois, working for a hockey team?
Boy, that's a really good question. It's not something that was sort of on my to-do list, but very, very pleased that I did end up there. It was a great time, and I came from the world of baseball, working in Alabama right before Rockford, and then the ownership group that started the IceHogs also was the company that I was working for in Alabama. So it was not as odd a transition as it might seem, because it was really something that allowed me to stay in the same ownership group.
Now, you got to Rockford before the team was even here. So there was probably the announcement, correct? And then you came shortly after?
Correct. I think there was an initial, call it ticket interest drive done a couple months beforehand, before I got there. And I think I arrived, if I remember, November of 98. And, at that point we had nothing. We had no offices. We had nothing. And, the ownership group had gotten a franchise awarded from the United Hockey League. And we kind of, went from there, started putting a staff together and trying to sell tickets, drum up interest, create a name, an identity, and a brand, and it was a lot of fun starting something from scratch.
Well, in talking about the name, there wasn't a name when you got here; it was just a hockey team. And talk about how it became the Rockford IceHogs.
So we ran a name the team contest within the community, and there was a young girl, I don't remember her name, was chosen as the winner for suggesting the name IceHogs, and a lot of people voted for it along the way too. And I think it was one of those names that we just, when we first heard it, we kind of all stood back and go, IceHogs? Why do we want to be IceHogs? But then we took another step back and we realized, boy, we could have a lot of fun with this. And in a lot of ways, that was our role. My background, again, is not hockey. My background was about the marketing side of it, and the experience of it, and the community part of it. And the name IceHogs really, really lent itself to a lot of fun, a lot of interesting little play on words, and we had some fun with it. And quite honestly, I'm very, very happy to see that many of those things still exist, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing about minor league sports is, of course, you have the actual game, but the whole product is the entire show from beginning to end, and everything that happens in between, and the marketing and all that. It's more than just a game.
100%. I mean, the 3 years that I was in Rockford, we didn't have very good hockey teams, but we had some great fans, and the energy at the ballpark was fantastic. Not the ballpark. Look at me, I'm talking about my current situation. But, in the arena there was fantastic, and I knew pretty quickly once we got in there and started meeting the fans and just seeing the passion and the dedication they had to being in the building and cheering on their team when we were losing, really told me that was going to work.
So, hockey, I wouldn't say Rockford was a hockey town, but prior to the IceHogs, there was the Icemen, the high school kids that did well. But what was the response to people when you first got to town saying you were going to bring a hockey team here?
I think people were optimistic. I think they were excited, hopeful, but they were skeptical as well. I think even, looking farther back, I'm not so sure how excited the ownership group really, really, really was about Rockford. Rockford almost became a necessity to help fill out the league at that time. and they had another team in the St. Louis suburbs that they were really, really high on. So we kind of went in and we had, some measured expectations. But as I said, once we got in there, it just took off. As you mentioned, there had been some other teams in the market in the past that just, had some not over the top success. They had some good times, but more bad times perhaps. But again, there was just something about once fans got into the arena that you could just tell. There was something different about it. There was something different about the way they wore their colors around town and really embraced the whole mindset of being part of the Hogs. And I think that just, again, told me right away that it was going to work.
It's the 40th anniversary of the BMO Harris Bank Center / Rockford Metro Center. I'm talking to the very first general manager of the IceHogs, Kevin Cummings. Now, let's fast forward. Opening night at the Metro Center at the time, now the BMO. What was it like coming into work that day and working through the afternoon into the evening?
It was exciting. It just was. It's I often call Hammy and the IceHogs my firstborn because I did feel a bit like an expectant father that day. Just like we had spent 10 or 12 months really building up to it, and here we were, but honestly not knowing what to expect still. You think you're prepared for it. In the end, you're probably not as prepared, but you go with it. And it was just super exciting. The building was full. I remember lasers. We had some sort of laser show that night. I also distinctly remember one of the things that was sort of unplanned is there was like a technical mix-up, or we may have just missed it, quite honestly. The PA announcer was seated next to the penalty box at that time, but he didn't have a headset, so we couldn't really communicate with him. So our timing was all messed up, and I distinctly remember having to shuffle my feet out to center ice and yell at the PA announcer, who's Chris Toltzman, through the glass and tell him, go, 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 anthem, anthem, anthem. And so I ended up literally, unintentionally, standing on the red line for the national anthem on opening night.
What's amazing? Toltzman, still the PA announcer for the team.
I know, and that's, again, when I was talking to Mike Peck in the office the other day, too, about it, again, those are the parts that are exciting for me, that Mike's still there, that Chris is still there. And I distinctly remember, Chris during the tryouts that we did for the PA announcers, and I remember him telling me afterwards how scared he was and nervous he was about it, but he was perfect, still is apparently, so that's great.
Now, what were some of the things that happened? Because you were the GM for 3 years for the team?
Correct.
So what was kind of the evolution of the team for those 3 years?
The evolution of the team, the very first year from a hockey standpoint, we had a better team because we inherited a group of players that came down from Thunder Bay, Ontario. And we had some good players. We just didn't have enough of them to really compete at the highest level. There was enough to get people excited, and there were certainly nights that we looked really great and had a lot of skill. I remember players like Jason Firth and J.F. Rivard, who I understand is probably still in the Rockford area. We had a guy named Mike Figliamini, who was about 5'0", but he was so much fun to watch. It was a fun team, and so we sort of continued that over the next 2 or 3 years, and we lost some of those guys and tried to rebuild, but it was never really successful. It never caught on from a hockey standpoint. But again, that was not really my focus. My focus was on trying to create the experience, create that community connection, and my most important hire that I ever made was Hammy. And because he was going to be the consistent face of the franchise, and again, still is. The players and the coaches change from year to year. Hammy's always going to be there.
What were some of the things that you implemented in the games and for the team? Obviously, the name and the mascot and stuff that we probably still use today.
I'm pretty sure. I followed the team on social media. I'm pretty sure they still skate through a giant inflatable pig head, don't they?
Oh, yeah, they do. Yep.
So, I mean, I remember that. I remember working with the folks at the Metro Center at the time to create a red light, glow around that, and the smoke coming out of it, and the music, and that whole part of it was just, I always loved that part of the hockey experience, was like that minute before the players took the ice, and the lights go dark, and the building really just gets into it, whether it was, I think the first song we ever played there was Run Like Hell by Pink Floyd, and that was the song the team came out to. And other years, I think we went to Sandman, and we did some Beautiful People, and anything with a good, driving musical intro was perfect. So that was huge. The mascot, again, Hammy was huge, and one of my favorite memories about the mascot, and people don't believe this when I tell them, but somehow we actually fooled all 3 TV stations into believing that we were going to pick an actual hog to be the mascot. And we set up a press conference, and we had him out in a farm in Belvedere, a hog farm. We worked with the farmer, and we staged this whole thing where we showed everybody, 5 or 6 different hogs, and kind of said something to the farmer, said, "You got to have a better hog around here. There's got to be something a little more interesting." And he said, "Well, we get this barn in the back where we keep our trouble hogs, our mischievous hogs." And so we ran around the corner. Of course, then pops out Hammy, and all the TV guys were like, "Oh, you got us." We fell for it, but we had a lot of fun with it, and I think that was a big part. The logo's still there. I mean, that's amazing. In today's day and age, that the logo hasn't changed and been rebranded is quite a testament to where it started and the work that the team has done to incorporate in their jerseys and the merchandise. I even saw that the kids club is still called the Runts Club. So we just embraced it. Everything was oink this, oink that. Why not have fun? I mean, that's the point of it.
What was your hope for the team? Obviously, in minor league sports, you come for a couple of years and then you move on to the next place, and you want the team to win and win a championship. But besides that, what was your hope for the team? Because you're more into the marketing of it and the promoting of it.
My hope was that it would still be there and continue. And again, I'm very, very glad, very proud that it still is. I knew that it would be successful. I remember when I left Rockford, I told Ryan Washatka, who took over as GM after I left, I told him, I said, this building will rock if you guys ever get to a Game 7 of a championship. And I promised him at that time I would come back. Unfortunately, I didn't live up to that promise. He reminds me of that, but he did say I was right, and that place was unbelievably electric, and the roof blew off of that, and I wish I had been there for that. But the fact that the team is still there, that's really all I wanted.
And you look at it from where you started, and then the changes, the upgrade of the arena, the bump up to the next level, affiliation with the Blackhawks. I mean, that's got to make you proud that you were there in the beginning.
It is. It makes me very proud. I certainly didn't. I didn't have the vision to see that the team would, move up to the American Hockey League, and very, very glad to see that. I spent a number of years in the American League after I left Rockford, and I love the American League. The league there does a fantastic job, and the president at the time, Dave Andrews, who recently retired, he was easily one of the best league executives I've ever had the opportunity to work with and be around, and they just do things right, and they continue to do that. So, yes, the Blackhawks tie, all that stuff is huge, and I hope that I don't know if I'll be alive then, but maybe we'll be talking on the 50th anniversary of all this.
And I think about it, and the move was great, the AHL, the Blackhawks affiliation, but all of us fans that have been here from the beginning, there's a little place in our heart for the UHL IceHogs because we had so much fun and the players had so much personality, and it was a show, and you got a little bit more of the fighting and the old school hockey.
We did have a little bit of that from time to time, yes, and the building was kind of built for that. It was tight. If I recall, the ice wasn't even regulation at that time, so it made it a much more physical game. And yeah, teams we had some guys like that was their job. My favorite part of those guys always was those were usually the best guys in the community. Our guys that were the fighters were also the best guys to send out to the schools.
It's true. They are. They were always the meanest on the ice, but the nicest off the ice.
Absolutely. I like working with you guys too. It was great having for you and everybody else in the radio community there to be part of the team and embrace it. I mean that the media in town was a big part of the success. And
what are you up to now?
Currently, I'm working with the Baltimore Orioles. I'm the director of ballpark operations. Just finished my 11th year there. Certainly a very unique year in 2020. But, I get an opportunity to go to Baltimore's Camden Yards every day for work, and that's pretty cool, too. So I'm enjoying it and, still like coming to work every day and still focus on the experience and let other people try to worry about producing winning teams and the success on the field or on the ice.
Well, Kevin, I really appreciate you taking the time. It was great catching up with you. Lots of fun memories from back in the day, and hopefully sometime soon you can come back for a game here in Rockford.
I would love that, and it's certainly overdue. I did catch the IceHogs, I guess 2 years ago. They came out here to Hershey, PA, and played the Bears, so I went up there and wore my Hogs jersey.
Oh, there you go. You got to support the team. I'm glad you still have the jersey, too.
I have plenty of them. Proudly have them.
Kevin Cummings, he was the original general manager of the Rockford IceHogs, celebrating the 40th anniversary of the BMO Harris Bank Center, also known as the Rockford Metro Center. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
All right, Double T. Take care.
It's Rockford's home for Classic Rock, 96.7 The Eagle.